what is jazz to you? Is it just pretentious and boring elevator music? Or do you spend your days listening to Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald on repeat? Answers vary depending on who you ask. But it's an emotional roller coaster, at least for me. I feel like I'm always gambling with my feelings listening to jazz. It can either soothe my soul or it can give me a shocking gut punch. One thing's for sure, there's no denying jazz is one of the greatest cultural exports of America. But why was it New Orleans that gave birth to the genre, not anywhere else? The simplified version would be, the 19th century New Orleans was like a melting pot of cultures, and all kinds of people from different backgrounds improvised together to create jazz. But of course, things are never as simple as that. The history seems to be as complex as the jazz itself. Tony Bennett once said, "Jazz was invented by the blacks in New Orleans." Or as King of Jazz Paul Whiteman said, jazz came to America 300 years ago in chains. Jazz was largely a creation of African Americans, evolving from slave songs and spirituals. Yearning for their homelands and trying to keep their music and cultures alive, they'd meet, sing, and dance in Conga Square, which is now part of Louis Armstrong Park. The song What a Wonderful World is etched in our brains with the soothing voice of Louis Armstrong like a stamp. But out of all people, he knew the world wasn't really wonderful. Abandoned by his father and his mother struggling to make ends meet, the jazz legend grew up in dire poverty. He was loading boats, selling newspapers, selling coal to brothels. But there and then, he met his mentor, Joe King Oliver, who took him under his wing, and the rest is history. I've heard he was an avid foodie. He loved Chinese, Italian, and of course New Orleans staples like rice and beans, that he would sign his letters, red beans and ricely yours. Maybe we can get some at the French market. I changed my mind. Can't do anything without some coffee and beignet. If you like your beignet crispier than Café du Monde, this is the place to get it. A little browsing through local produce, arts and crafts, and I'm right back for some crawfish. Not eating crawfish in springtime New Orleans is like not seeing the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Louisiana is the crawfish capital of the world, and in New Orleans, crawfish is king. Hot and spicy marinated crawfish was good, somewhat sweet, citrusy, and spicy all at the same time.
Thank you for riding Louis Armstrong.
With the Louisiana Purchase came the Americans. Low-class and uncultured people thought the Creoles. The Creoles, the French and Spanish descendants, didn't want them anywhere near the French Quarter. So, Americans founded their own town away from them, what is now the Garden District. Oaked tree-lined streets, lush greenery, grand colonial Victorian mansions dating back centuries. Smells like fresh-cut grass. Smells like old money. And it is old money. Back when New Orleans port was booming, Joes and Janes were coming in droves to turn millionaires overnight. And they did, building their wealth, distributing cotton, sugar, and coffee. Enough mentions. How about the food here? With the Caribbean-like climate in New Orleans, you can easily get that island tropical vibe, so the Rum House looked very fitting. Being from LA, you don't usually get surprised by tacos elsewhere. But the place was on BuzzFeed's most popular tacos in Louisiana list, so why not try some? Caribbean-inspired tacos, blackened mahi-mahi with avocado mango slaw, and the brisket taco with chimichurri, barbecue sauce, and cilantro. The brisket one was the clear winner here. And some rum-based fruity sweetness. Both tasted like an Adam Sandler movie. Beachy, fun, and very sweet. The Bulldog has over 48 draft beers and around 100 bottled ones. I don't know how many I've got, I just lost count after the third. Fresh beer is the best beer, and it's worth experimenting with local drafts. Simple logic, beer is more like a loaf of bread. You don't want it to get stale. The further away a beer's home, the more time it has to lose quality. You want that fresh from the oven, crisp, thirst-quenching taste.
You're no good, a heartbreaker. You're a liar, and you're a cheater.
I was badly craving live music as much as I crave wine with steak. So I headed to New Orleans Arts District on Frenchman. As Bourbon Street became more touristy, Frenchman became the locals' go-to for hip restaurants and world-famous jazz clubs. Named after the latitude and longitude of New Orleans, 3090 is one of the jazz clubs that got it right. Good atmosphere, good drinks, great bands. Looking at musicians having fun and playing with such conviction really quenched my thirst and satisfied my hunger for live music. It would be a sin if you don't get the Sazerac in its OG city. This America's first cocktail was created in New Orleans, in the French Quarter Pharmacy. The Sazerac with rye whiskey is slightly herbal and bitter with a hint of sweetness, with which you can linger over while listening to jazz.
Please, change my mind.